Hello. Okay. What's it, Thursday. Happy Thursday. Thank you guys for bearing with me last week. I don't know what came over me. It was like a 2 day virus or something. It was all better now, thank God. But I'm, as per usual, really excited to give you guys this lesson. I don't know if it's just a lesson. I want to consider it kind of a discussion today. So you can stay muted. You don't have to put your camera on or anything. I just ask that you use the chat so we can try and talk back and forth and just be a little bit more interactive today. Because this has been a topic that's come up a lot lately. And I think that's a really good sign because it's a sign that people are starting to want that connection out of life more, when it comes to making friends, especially when you're dealing with chronic illness, you're dealing with a whole bunch of really heavy things. It can, like, the idea of, oh, I want to make friends, I feel like doesn't come up until you're in a spot where, like, you really do want that, and if for that to be the case, there tends to be some kind of room for that to happen. Now, I'm not saying a lot of room. That's what we're going to work on today, is how to have friends when you do have a full plate, or you don't feel well all the time, or you do have a busy career and all of those setbacks that hit us as grown-ups, right? But I think that having connection with people is so important because this world can feel so friggin' lonely. And I think that when you deal with chronic illness and or neurodivergence, and trauma and all these things, and you go through all of the work of trying to grow and get stronger, not having like a support system in terms of friendship, not feeling seen or appreciated by a fellow adult, that hits you. It hits you, and it can feel even more lonely. So put a 1 in the chat if you wish it was easier to make friends as an adult. Put a 1 in the chat if you wish it was easier to make friends as an adult. See those ones coming in. Make sure everyone's watching, paying attention. Yeah. And it shouldn't be. I remember thinking back in the day, like before I knew if I could definitively, if I would have a child or not, I was like, people make friends at school. Like moms, you make friends with other moms and stuff. So I was like, how the hell am I going to meet people? And I think about that. I'm in a homeschool, so I don't know if I'll still meet people, but I think about it, especially for my clients who are not going to have kids, like don't want to have children. That kind of eliminates, and then not for nothing too. Sometimes that's not even a big pool of people to be friends with. Let's be honest. Your kid might go to school with people that you don't want to socialize with, parents you don't feel like socializing with. So how do we find friends that suit us and suit our quirks, our obstacles? Because I don't know about you guys, but the idea of like a surface friendship feels friggin' exhausting. It's almost like, why not just be by yourself at that point, honestly, right? Or if you got to put on a mask and you got to, and Mo said, I can't even relate to those other moms anyway. Totally, like, so it's a lot of times it's like you have to try and mask and like fit in. Otherwise, you feel screwed. So if we take a step further, it's not even so much as like, how do we make friends as adults, as grown-ups? It's like, how do we make the right friends as grown-ups? Anyone in here, tell me in the chat, have you ever had friends that you felt out of place with, but you kept them around or you stayed around because of history or because of convenience or being the bigger person, but deep down you knew you guys weren't a fit and it just felt scary to not have someone in your life? So it was kind of like better than nothing. Michelle Amata, do you feel like you've been able to make friends outside of CCA? Absolutely. And now I'm not saying they're like knocking down my door and I'm having like a packed house every week. I'm saying like various friends. We're going to break down the different ways to look at this today. My view on relationships and friendships has changed. I would rather have a few people who just know me. I can be myself around them. I don't have to mask. To me, that is such a luxury that I don't need a ton of them, you know? 3 or 4 people that I could just be myself around feels like a freaking blessing compared to where I was a few years ago. So it really is there's nuance to it, you know? So all right. I want you guys to share with me in the chat. Here are my notes. What feels hardest to you about making friends as an adult? Tell me in the chat while I go get my water bottle because I will not be able to speak if I don't have my water with me. So tell me in the chat what feels hardest for you when it comes to making friends as a grown up. Yeah, for me, with my job, the hardest part of making friends was not finding the people to talk to. I could strike up a conversation online with anyone who's not just giving me one words, right? But I think for me, what the hardest part was getting from the just talking back and forth to making meaningful plans together and keeping meaningful plans, not getting super anxious and canceling or not, working myself up and feeling like I'm going to have a flare up, especially my stomach. Like things like that I think a lot of people don't think about unless you have chronic illness or you're neurodivergent, and things like that can really make it difficult. So for you guys who are not talking in the chat unless I'm missing something. Wait. Did they change? You guys, I yelled at you for no reason. My chat was like on the wrong tab and I didn't see anything anyone wrote. So let me go back. Okay. Oh my God, you guys gave me so much good stuff. I was like, why is nobody typing? I'm like, is everyone just like falling asleep at my voice? Okay. Okay, so now I feel a lot better. You see all the people I still call friends are from middle school. I hear that a lot. It took severe trauma to end my 25-year friendship, but I thought about it all the time before then, meaning if they weren't the right fit. Yeah, absolutely. I used to just be happy someone wanted to be my friend, never if I wanted to be friends with them. I think that's a really huge point. I don't know, I feel like I can relate to that a lot in the past. I don't know about you guys. It's kind of like, well, beggars can't be choosers. So as long as you want to be my friend, I'm going to find a place for this because I'm a friendly person. I'm just too tired to bother. Yeah, in terms of what's hardest about making friends, that I will talk too much or say something dumb. On the anxiety of that, I definitely get that. I'm a lot more introverted than people usually expect me to be. So no one seems to be trustworthy anymore. Well, we can go into that for sure. The hardest part is that I want people I can meet up with in person time to time. All my friends are across the country and international. I need community here. Definitely, definitely hard. I mean, like I was saying before, is it's not necessarily so difficult to like find people to talk to and to build virtual relationships as much because of social media and our, the ability to connect now, but it doesn't mean in real life people like that social interaction, there is a place for that too, you know? Finding people with same interests and I want to put in some effort that want to put in effort like I do. Yes, one-sided friendships. I have notes on that in here too. One is having the energy or motivation to be places where I could possibly meet new friends, meet people that I want to be friends with. Sorry, couldn't get that one out. I rarely leave my house, and if I do, I'm with my husband. Yep. The other, I've always struggled with maintaining connections with people, returning texts, making plans, all of that. Returning texts is a big one, especially for a lot of us neurodivergent folk. You could literally receive a text from the person that like you adore and just not answer them because it feels like too much. And it makes no sense. Have any of you guys been like really annoyed with yourself to be like, why can I not just answer this text? Like you will put it off. You don't even want to open the text message. And you don't understand why because it's like not conscious. You're not like consciously you want to talk to people. Subconsciously it feels way too overwhelming. That's a real thing. Demand avoidance. Demand avoidance. I feel like they will find me too weird. That's what I was saying. You got to find the right ones for you, right? I also just don't have the energy to be the one always putting the energy in. Totally get that. How in the first place? Like you don't get to play on the playground with them anymore. Ain't that the truth, right? You just walk up to a kid at the slide. Hey, you want to be friends? I mean, sometimes it's that easy. Maybe you wouldn't say it like that because these days you'd creep someone out. But I also wonder because, like, you look at the people that are super outgoing that just seem to like collect acquaintances and collect friends. You know who I'm talking about, right? The mayor friend, the person that you're like, how do you do this? They just do it. They just talk to people. It's insane. You know, it's like, but to me, I'm like, well, what do you say? You know, but some people are just like that, you know, the hey, let's be friends type of people. Not I, said the fly. Okay, so finding someone who is in therapy and committed to growing as a person. That's a big one. Yeah, that's a big one too. You know, are you into growth or do you think that you're wonderful and it's the rest of the world's problem? You know, like that's a big thing too. Technically, it's always been hard. Always feel like I didn't actually make friends. The friends just decided to cling on to me as an adult and a disabled adult. I'm just isolated a lot with the trauma with friends I have. I question everything. PTSD is weird. Sure is. It adds to the fun, doesn't it? Okay, I'm so glad I figured out that there's tabs on the chat now, and I'm so sorry that I was like, why isn't anyone answering me? So these were excellent and right in line with what I was thinking when I wrote out today's outline. And these problems, nobody really talks about them, right? And these are problems that exist even without factoring in any kids, right? But then you factor in, you have to be responsible for not even just your schedule, the schedule of these other little humans, you know, and it becomes a mess. Okay, so let's get into it. So I wrote here some issues that might be scary, and I think you guys kind of summed it up. But the things that I came up with is friend trauma from growing up. So if you had a mean experience, an experience where people were mean to you, you know, the canon event of like being left out of the friend group growing up, I feel like 9 out of 10 people have had that happen. And while you're still, you know, no, you might not still be crying because, you know, your two friends decided to dress up like twins for twin day and didn't tell you, you know, like no one's sitting here crying about that anymore. That's it kind of shapes our perception of who we need to be friends. So it could be stemming from various traumas. Friend trauma growing up. What about if you moved a lot growing up? Never had a chance to really set up roots. Had friends from all over that you kept at an arm's length, but you didn't get close with. That would count too. Trauma isn't always debilitating, abusive trauma. It could be something that's traumatic in the way that you then grow up with that memory, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it had to be something done to you. You know, it could just be a matter of moving around a lot. That counts too as trauma. Feeling self conscious about how you fit in or how you are considered or perceived. I don't know how many of you guys maybe felt that even growing up a little bit, right? Is how am I perceived? How do I fit in? It's a pretty normal. I feel like a lot of kids consider that too. You know, maintaining plans becomes hard for various reasons, whether it's anxiety wise or health wise. Like I said, kids, schedule, energy, mental energy. So you feel like you don't even want to maintain friendships because you feel bad about flaking out. Um, and then I wrote here ADHD/autism can make it harder because social cues. And then you build up enough traumatic experiences due to that, and you feel like, why bother? You know, so yeah, I'm seeing here in the chat, I don't like to be perceived at all. Yep, yep, yep. And then as the friend who works as a therapist, sometimes I wonder if people just want me around to be their therapist friend. 100%. One of my closest friends is a therapist, and she knows that I work with people and I mentor people and coach people and stuff. And we have put so much work into not doing what we do to each other and also not expecting it of each other. We have our own separate journeys. If there is something that one of us can help the other with, we tread very lightly in how we acknowledge it, for that very reason, you know, so that you don't feel like, you know, everyone you're meeting is just kind of taking advantage. Whether they are or they aren't, it's a valid fear. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into it. What are some ways we can work around this? So, one way, you guys are going to love this, apps. And now, before you're like, are you kidding me? This is why you made my ass come on a Zoom at 9 o'clock at night to tell me to join a friend finding app. Here's the thing I want to tell you. And if you've heard this before, just ignore it. I have other advice. Okay. But the apps will always feel like dating apps. They're always going to feel a little awkward. Embrace that. Mention it when you talk to people because you are not the only one feeling that way. If there are other people on those apps, it's because they have thought the same thing as you. They want to make friends. But the caveat I will say, the original quote unquote, and you might have thought of this, but where it's a little bit different, the original thought is when it comes to making friends as an adult, especially with chronic illness or neurodivergency, you want to be so friggin' you that you are an absolute repellent to anybody who would not like you. And what I mean by that is just be yourself. It's like this sounds like the most ridiculously cliche advice. Put on your profile on these apps. Put on your profile what you do not want in friends. Put on your profile what you are afraid of friends finding out about you. Are you afraid of them finding out that you hate crowded places? You fucking hate hiking. You're never going to go hiking. You like to be a homebody. You get overstimulated. You like to knit, like whatever the hell it is that you're like, oh, I don't know if I can make friends because put it on your profile. Let it be an absolute sifter. Why? Because what do you have to lose? What do you break? What are they breaking down the door? All the people who want to be your friend? No. So if you get maybe two people that come through and see your profile, like, oh, cool, same. That's going to be a lot better than having a lot of people wanting to connect with you, but yet the two of you don't have anything in common. And you have to worry about masking again because you're worried about being perceived. I have lots of neurotypical people I love in my life. I really do. I have absolutely nothing against neurotypical people. I am in awe of them a lot of times. However, I make it a point to mention that specific neurotypical people could be my friend, but some may be thoroughly irritated with me. And that doesn't bother me because you know what? I might be thoroughly irritated with them. But what's going to go on my profile is the fact that I'm freaking neurodivergent because I don't want somebody who can't deal with anyone like me to reach out to me. I don't take offense to it. That's how I am. That's how they are. That's how I am. Who wants to waste time? We don't have no time and energy as it is. So that's the big thing for the moms in here, the parents in here. The Peanut app was fantastic. It was the least like dating I had ever, like the least like dating app I had ever experienced. There's tons of support in there. Two of my closest local friends actually came from the Peanut app. One of them lives 6 minutes away from me. We were actually deciding if she was going to come over real quick or I was going to go over there for like a nightcap after the Zoom. And I met her on Peanut. And guess what? We are both anxious. We are both on the spectrum. We both have ADHD. We both smoke weed. We both have a kid. Well, she's twins, but we around the same age. Like all of these different things. We're both nervous to meet people. We went and met each other, me, her, and one other girl from our local area. One other mom from our local area. We met at, I feel like this is only in the tri-state area. If you know, you know, but Brownstone Pancake Factory. It's like one of those like millennial pancake places where they have like, like we do things differently here, like one of those kind of places. And we all just kind of sat there and it was awkward at first, but all three of us, neurodivergent, nervous as hell, we all kind of have a similar style, and we met on the Peanut app because our profiles were very us. And I don't want to waste time on people that I don't click with or that will think I'm weird. Plenty of people think I'm weird. I don't need to be hanging out with them or spend money going out and meeting up with them. Chastity nightcap. We were gonna see if we wanted to partake in some cannabis before we go to bed because we have small children. But nightcap is usually referred to as like a cocktail, like a nightcap cocktail, but I don't really drink. So anyway, so apps. So there's Bumble, the classic. Bumble's going to be the one where you meet the most people on typically. And you can set it, it's like Bumble BFF is the setting. Actually, I think there might be separate apps now. Yeah, I think before it used to be that it was the main Bumble app and then you set it to BFF. And I think now there's the Bumble BFF app. I'm pretty sure. Same thing. If you need help setting up your profile, I will help you. I love doing that. I'm very good at dating profiles and friendship profiles. Like we will make that so like honest, but still not like negative and woe is me, but in not a toxic positive way. I love remaking profiles. So please, or if you want like an audit, if you care at all, you don't need my opinion. But Bumble, Peanut, and then the Meetup app for specific meetups around your interests. And on Meetup, there are tons of interests. So you can pick gardening. I just hit myself in the face. You could pick gardening. They have like knitting, crochet. They have writing, reading, like all different kinds of interests. For people who want to leave the house, for people who are going to do things more virtual, people who can leave the house, all different types of meetup groups exist there. That's a really fun one too. I like screwed up somehow. I have to figure out how to get back in there. My email was banned. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but it was like annoying to figure out. And so I deleted the app in a frustrated rage. But back in the day, I was in quite a few meetups. So then in terms of when you are on the app, this is the part that I had the hardest time with. And that was, how do we get from how you're doing? How are you doing? I love your dog. I love your hair. Oh my God, you're in my area. What do you do for a living? How do we go from that to let's meet up? And for me, the easiest way has been, I've said to them, I'm like, this feels like online dating a little bit. I break the ice. We're both thinking it. Both of us are thinking it. Call it out. Immediately helps people feel like you're more authentic and real because you are calling out the elephant in the room instead of trying to act like everything's fine. It's awkward. Y'all are talking like you're about to get taken out on a date, so mention that, make a joke about it. And then I'll say, so should we meet up? And see what they say. If it feels really stale or it feels like you are pulling teeth, that's not the right fit. It's not the right match. If you're having a hard time making friends, don't meet up with anyone you got to pull teeth for. It's like dating, I suppose, right? So that's the biggest thing for me is I'll just say, should we meet up? And then if they're like weird at all or no or whatever, okay, pleasant, good blessings, go forth. If they're like, yeah, then I pick a place and I say, what's your schedule next week? I do this because I fall victim to the let's get together. I'll let you know friggin' back and forth of hell where no one ever meets up. I hate that. It drives me insane. One of my biggest goals is to become one of those people who just follows through on plans. Now, if it's ever a matter of like health or whatever, again, my profile states I have chronic illness and I look for people who would understand. My friends I've met on apps also have chronic illness. So for them, if I've ever had to like sit out hanging out, they're not going to be like, what a bitch. She's just lying. They'll be like, oh my God, are you okay? So there is a difference. But you pick a time, you pick a place and you say, what's your schedule next week? And then the rest goes from there. If it's too difficult to do, you just keep on meeting more people. It's not a good fit because if you're not one of those like overly initiative people and you become friends with someone it's pulling teeth to get something scheduled, it's just going to be frustrating. So, let's see. Okay. God, guys, I really need to find my freaking reading glasses. Okay. Bumble BFF has gone dry. People stop responding to me. Let's look at your profile together. It might just be like people in your area suck, but we'll look. I'll help. The apps didn't ever work for me, even for friends. What did work though was when I created the space I was looking for. No disabled lesbian friendship spaces. Make it. Absolutely. It was overwhelming for a lot of reasons, but I made my 2 new besties. Yay! And even though I live on the other side of the city, I hung out at their house the other day. Oh, that makes me so happy to hear. And we were awkward and nervous, but honest about it, and it was great. And you're starting a band. Okay, there you go. I feel like I'm way too shy for that. Caitlin, which part do you feel like you're way too shy for? I hardly dated my friend. Let's make profiles, guys. You don't have to date friends too. I talked to the people I met off of Peanut. We talked for maybe 2 days before we met somewhere public, well lit with people, the Brownstone Pancake Factory. We talked for like 2 days. I didn't have time to sit here and be courting nobody either. I ain't nobody's gentleman caller. So, are you laughing at me? laughing at me. To actually follow through on meeting a friend. I'm the one that is like pulling teeth to meet. Good point. But then I would figure out why that is. If you want to have friends, and then figure out the thing that's holding you back. Like I said before, one of the reasons could be, are you self-conscious about meeting up? Do you feel like and I think you wrote before, Caitlin, you're afraid that they think you're going to be weird. So that's why I'm saying be so weird in your profile that it's still not off-putting. Be your weirdest self. Be a sifter. You are sifting through anybody who would be put off by you. Because if they can get through your profile and still think you're cool, you're set. Like that's the way that's the biggest suggestion I can make for people. And I will help you do that. I will help you sift through. But you can even put on your profile, it's like pulling teeth to hang out with me and I want to change that, right? You know how before I was saying how if you're like you're afraid to meet up with people and you meet someone else where it's like pulling teeth and then nothing goes anywhere, maybe you need a friend that shows more initiative. They exist out there. Maybe they like your weird ass. They exist out there. Your weird ass is cool, So it doesn't have to be that you put a ton of effort into it. It just has to be that you are very authentic in the space that they're going to see before they even reach out to you. Or not even that they reach out to you, you reach out to them. I mean, a lot of those apps, like you both swipe on each other or whatever, and then you can talk, So there has to be a reason that you both even want to speak to each other typically. We have a group of established friends we get together with probably twice a year as a whole group, and every single time I'm anxious and dread it for days, and I have literally known them for years. Stuff to unpack, right? Stuff to unpack. I think the one part of it is actually meeting the people. I think the other part of it, maybe this could be next week's Zoom too, so we can get really in depth on it. I think I like that. Hold on. Let me write this down because I say that a lot on these Zooms and then I forget. So next Zoom is how to battle self-consciousness/anxiety socially. Okay, we'll get into that more next week. And then you and we could talk about this one-on-one too. And I think there's a whole lot that goes into that, So, but let's say this, for the sake of time for this lesson, we're talking about just where to even find people, right? Facebook groups for your area. Now I say that, I don't mean go into like your neighborhood Facebook group and be like, hey, because those places are weird, man. Like, and I don't mean weird like endearing weird like us. I mean weird like like true crime drama, weird. For me at least, there's like, someone is always angry and they're like, I don't mean just your community groups. I mean specified local groups. Not every place has them nearby, but like I met one of my closest friends in it was a low carb stoners group on Facebook. Low carb stoners. I'm so sorry that has come up so many times this Zoom. I swear to God, I'm not trying to push it on anyone, but it just happened to be where we met. There was a thread and people were like, where's everyone from? And then we both commented New Jersey. And then upon further, like, talking and like mentioning like counties, and then we realized we lived like 20 minutes from each other. And this was like a decade ago, I feel like. And we've been friends, like close friends. So specific Facebook groups, that's not going to be like a guarantee because who the hell knows, And I think back on it and I'm like, maybe I should have, like, who knows if either one of us was an axe murderer. We weren't. It turned out great. But, keep it in the back of your mind. So clubs, specific clubs in your area. I know that there's a lot of like gardening co-op clubs. There are mom clubs, which tread lightly if you don't want to be judged for every little thing you do. Hopefully there are some really great mom groups out there. And like my friends from Peanut that I talk about who wouldn't judge absolutely anyone, they've been to some of these like mom and me groups or like yoga classes, and they're great and they're there. So there are good people there, just, mom groups intimidate the hell out of me. So understandably. And then for anyone who happens to have extra time and energy on their hands, volunteer. If you get involved in any like rescues that you want to work with, any volunteer opportunities, you'll meet other volunteers. That would be the idea there. Chronic illness groups starts out online, and then you find people who are local. hopefully. You start that. You can start your own chapter. There's a whole lot that goes into that, but I would be happy to work with you guys one-on-one to make that happen if you wanted to. But I think the biggest part here is let it be a sifting process. And that is such a much deeper issue. Act the way you act, look the way you look. Why is it terrifying to do that? It feels like it gets scarier and scarier to do that as we get older, and it shouldn't be the case. We should just be our damn selves. One of my favorite facets of the retreats that we have had in the past in CCA is that, and I mean, the retreats that I had at my house were like this too, but it was a lot more when we went to the house down by the bay here in Jersey, somewhere completely separate. And then we went to San Diego. You get all these people in the room. Everybody looks kind of nervous. Everybody's looking at each other like, hi, like I know we're supposed to be cool because we're like, we got this in common, but like, is everyone going to think I'm an asshole? Everybody's super nervous. By the end of the retreat, people are acting like they've been friends forever and they're telling inside jokes and all of that, So my favorite thing is like just getting people, I don't even know how I got into this part of the topic, but being super yourself. My favorite thing about the retreats is by the end of the weekend, everybody's acting like they've known each other forever. And we do various exercises for that. So by the end of it, because everyone was just so themselves, the goal is that you see how accepted you are for being totally yourself by random ass people that are from all over the country, So I think it's not always easy to be yourself, but when it comes to making friends as an adult, you might not have a ton of friends. You might not have, plans anytime you want and like always someone to call, which is the dream, right? To have that one close friend. But at the end of the day, you can have a lot of fun just being yourself with quality people. It just takes work, it's not easy. What else did I put here that's worth saying that I didn't say already? Oh, to maintain friendships if you're already busy. This is something that I'm actually going to be doing with one of my mom friends because her kids go to bed really early. My Jelly is still awake. He goes to bed at like 10. Our schedules are crazy. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to have like one day a week where we hang out. It's like our set time that week. So this way we can plan around it. We can procure childcare if we need to. We can plan where we're going to go together or whatever. And we know that one day a week, that's our meetup day. Now obviously we'll have to change that if something comes up, but it might not sound like, oh, I want to be spontaneous. Who has time for that? So, and then my goal is to broaden that maybe into doing like game nights or something like that, get-togethers, various things. But it's going to start out as like a weekly thing. So this way we can try to not let 2 months go by between seeing each other. Another thing I have 2 more things to mention. One, if you don't already do this, it's actually called pebbling. It's the act of sending like videos, reels, whatever, things that remind you of the other person's, like sending it to them. I know that sounds really silly, but like if you're on TikTok or Instagram and you see a video that reminds you of a person you want to get closer with, send it to them. It's cute. Makes you, they realize that you're thinking about them. And it's actually called pebbling. After how penguins, they bring a pebble to somebody that they want to have a close connection with and they drop it in front of them. It's the same thing. It's like you're bringing your little internet meme or video to your friend, like a pebble. And then the last thing is set up get-togethers if you can. I am going to be reading this book. I've had it for a while and I haven't really gotten too far into it, but it's really interesting. It's called 2-Hour Cocktail Party. What is this? How to build big relationships with small gatherings. This has been my New Year's resolution to go through this book and create my 2-hour cocktail party for like 2 years now. So I really, really want to do this. So I'll be sharing with you guys what it says to do, how to go about it. But this, from what I've read so far, it's really interesting. It's the concept of gathering people that you don't really know too much and having some kind of get together with them and then it growing into something. So, and he has, I got to imagine that this guy has some kind of neurodivergency going on because it sounds like this is like a guide on how to like mask and build friends. So I'm really excited to show you what I think about it and how to Michelleify it. And then I will give it to you guys. But plan little get-togethers. Maybe you have a couple of surface level friends or acquaintances. Step out of your comfort zone a little bit. You know, the seasons are changing. Are there fall activities you can ask them to do out and about? Are there, holiday activities coming up? To step out on a limb. Is that how you say that? Step out on a limb? Yeah, you know what I mean. Go for it. Try it. So again, not to, I know like you might come away from this being like, yeah, okay, Michelle, let me just go strike up some friends. My goal, as usual with these Zooms, is to create a topic that stirs conversation, plants a seed that we can then go and talk one on one more about it and how it pertains to your life and how you feel and what obstacles each and every one of us might work through might be different from the next. So, my hope is from this initial conversation that it will cause us to have a lot more combos about this throughout the next week, because it's something that I've been working really hard to build on. It's not always easy, and I want it for you guys. I want you guys to have at least one person that you feel like you can just be your friggin' self around and make plans with and enjoy company with, I think it's so huge. So and then next week, I'm going to put here how to battle feeling self-conscious or having anxiety socially. And then let me just make sure that's not our challenge. Okay, cool. And then on the 15th, which is the following week, we'll start our A1C challenge. Our blood sugar shakedown starts on the 15th. So keep your eyes out for more details about that. I'll be posting. And then go forth and conquer, everyone. I wish you lots of fun times with friends. And if you need any help or you have any questions, please don't hesitate to text me and let me know. All right. Enjoy your night, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.